Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Galimanga Marvin. I'm working with Dr. Muhammad Ghulam Rabiul Alam from Dhaka University, Dhaka, Bangladesh. So I'm presenting our work about unexplainable lattice-based fertility treatment outcome prediction model for TeleFertility. This is the outline of our presentation. Yeah, I'll begin by talking about the beauty of motherhood. Of course, everyone would like to have a baby. Not everyone, but it's one of the most fulfilling feelings that someone can ever have. Of course, I'm able to talk to you today because my mama gave birth to me, and your mama gave birth to you too. And yeah, it's one of the most fulfilling feelings. Just watching a mom play with the baby is one of the most fulfilling things. It makes people happy. You can just jump on and say hi to your mom, say hi to your daughter. Yeah, it's one of those most interesting things. Say hi to your son. Yeah, and now, despite the fact that motherhood is beautiful and interesting, the trends are speaking otherwise. Not speaking others, but the trends are contributing to something completely different. When just jump onto your device right now and budget what women can before you even complete, Google will suggest all these beautiful things that women can do. Now, what is most weird is that check on what men can, and you're going to see that the world is really getting skewed to the to the other way around. I don't know whether it's science, but whatever it is solidifying a few core concepts that are really so fundamental to pay attention to. One of the concepts that are so foundational today is that women in their reproductive age are now giving up and postponing conception in order to concentrate on their career development and engagement, so they can be able to do all those things that you see that women can be able to do. And likewise, since they are postponing this thing to their later ages, it has really greatly boosted the fertility service market to a projected 4.1 billion industry by 2026. If anyone would like to invest, the opportunity is there for you. And now it is also important to note that as much as that is happening, these trends have also caused some of the serious problems, because it's almost 6% of women between 15 to 40 are failing to get pregnant. Not only that, but what makes it worse is that even for those who get pregnant, 12% of them are not able actually to sustain the baby within their uteruses to the expected time. It's very unfortunate, but yeah, that's what is happening now. Now, of course, there are a lot of solutions that have been popped up for this thing of infertility. One of it is oxide freezing. Can you imagine? It's very interesting what science can do, that you can simply go offer your eggs or offer your sperm, they keep it for you, come pick it after 20 years, 50 years, whatever years you want to spend. Likewise, your egg. And this oxide freezing, one of the solutions to whatever we just talked about. The other one is vitro fertilization. What this one happens is that they pick your egg or the sperm, then they go pick egg and a sperm, then they go fuse it somewhere, then they manufacture for you a baby somewhere in the lab. That is also quite interesting what science can do. Then the other one that is most applicable or that's most usable is the intrauterine insemination. Now, this is where the healthy sperm is actually injected into a uterus that is ovulating to help a woman get pregnant. Of course, this thing comes with a lot of convoluted problems. Like I'm telling you, this thing is very ambiguous, first of all, and it's not trustable. It's extremely expensive, and this seems to be unfair, but that's reality. The uncertainty looped within each and everything. How trustable, how much can you trust the egg that you've offered that you will come back after 10 years, it's going to work for you? Hmm, okay, maybe. How sure are you that that baby that is manufactured in the lab is actually one baby that's going to be a normal baby that's going to be? So uncertainty is a very big problem. Moreover, these services are concentrated in very developing countries. So if you're coming from developing countries, my friend, you are doomed. I don't know, but yeah, you are in so much trouble. And not only that, but the uncomfortable reproductive procedures to assess the fertility treatment is also fertility evaluation is also very, it's just despicable. So the general this thing are inaccessible, they're very expensive, and I don't know how to talk about it, but the existing works have tried to do something. Although most of the work is focused so much on reactive medicine, productive medicine, uncertain trials of predictive medicine, it's a very expensive fertility treatment trials, and then the black box predictive models to assess the outcomes. Of course, they are black box. People don't use them because they don't trust them. And then to make things so, generally, all work is focused on reactive medicine. Now, there is no transparent, trustable approach to active predictive reproductive medicine. So the problem is the inaccessible, expensive, uncertain, patient-centered, risky, reactive approach to reproductive medicine. the solution we're proposing is why it's quite different, so beautiful that we can explainably predicts the fertility treatment outcome. So we can able to explain to you, to give you provide you with the insights of the most contributing factors that are causing, that may lead to, that are contributing to this outcome, to understand whether your chances of getting pregnant are either high or low. In case they are low, you take necessary proactive action. In case they are high, you're just you at least, yeah. And in case you are given a treatment plan that is not very favoring, you can at least be able to strategically choose a treatment plan that is going to work for you based on what contributing factors are most contributing to your likelihood. And we're doing this in lattice space. Therefore, I'll first work with the lattice and quantum lattice space. Because lattice space is just some kind of arrangement of particles in space. Now, these particles here are always in motion. Of course, since these particles are in motion, that means that the whole thing of rotating in space is a spatial process. Now, we can be able to apply conditional probability in order to statistically analyze this lattice space. That means that with application of the Clifford theorem, we can move the consistency problem within lattice space, and that is what gives us the power to build proactive, to build the conditional probability models within the lattice space. To make things more interesting, it allows for, with very simple parameter estimation procedures, we can be able to actually generate very beautiful results out in this, from these lattice models in space. Now, with the application of genetic programming, the predictive power that the dynamic particles in that space, because if these particles are moving, then they have some kind of predictive power. That predictive power, together coupled with the genetic programming, is what is going to enable us to build predictive models within the lattice space. Yeah. And this is the other thing that satisfies our concept is simply this: you are deploying the path integral formation. What Listen is investigating is what is the likelihood that a particle will move successfully from point A to point B. And of course, some work has already been done with the double slit experiment, where the particle could only take two paths to arrive to point B. Now, when it comes to quantum lattice space, the particle can take lots of paths, and it becomes very interesting when those lots of paths are coupled with different barriers, because each barrier comes with different number of splits, which means that multiple barriers generate with multiple splits are going to generate lots of possible paths that a particle can be able to take to move from point A to point B. Now, it's very interesting because Richard Feynman has already tried to figure out a solution for this by applying the principle of least action. He was able to assign weights and probability of a particle moving from point A to point B, such that you can be able to get the probability amplitude. So what usually happens is this: if you have particles in space and they can be able to move from point A to point B, and they confirm that they also have predictive power within this lattice space, I want you to think of these particles as dataset features. From our datasets, we have different features. We get these features, we punch them, we throw them into lattice space, then they can be able to interactively move along that space. And as they propagate within that space, they generate multiple possibilities of moving from point A to point B. So what we shall simply do, apply Feynman's technique, generate a probability amplitude, calculate the possible path, and can be able to trace the path of these particles within lattice space. Moreover, within this lattice space, we can be able to apply the Feynman technique and the principle of least action in order to generate a path that can be able to trust. Now, Feynman's technique suggests this. Feynman's technique is simply saying that if you want to teach a child something, if you want to teach something, just simply try to teach it, identify the weaknesses within your strategy, you revise it, and then keep trying teaching again. So in our quantum lattice space, the quantum lattice simply learns the structure of the problem and also learns the probability fields of the lattice of the spatial paths. That means that you can be able to simply keep updating the results of the generated mathematical models to explain the input, which input we saw, because this was an input in the lattice space, in order to be able to generate the multiple models that we are going to be able to use to explain. To make this thing more interesting, we sample thousands of models that are generated because of the interaction of the particles within the space. Then we fit them with some kind of backward propagation mechanism, and then we abandon those ones that are worse, the ones that are not working very well. Then from this, lattice learning usually happens whenever we update the lattices. Remember, we had talked about this, the refinement technique. What we do is that we keep on updating ourselves, we keep on updating them with the best models, and that's how we are able to apply the principle of least action in order to generate the best optimal path of the particle moving from point A to point B. This is an example of that. So these particles here, which are feature, and then feature they interact with one another in order to interactively propagate against along a given path to which they will converge to. So the thing is, what we can simply understand by this thing is that quantum lattice learning allows us to keep track of the degenerated paths. So whatever paths we have dropped, then we can able to we can at least be able to keep track of those paths. Then nextly, we can be able to that means that we can be able to iteratively loop within the previous models to know what paths we have been able to drop. That provides insights on what paths are justifiably working. So if these are the particles, punch them through that space, they interact, we drop off some, we can be able to master and know that this one here was the best and most optimal path because it successfully moved. The particles successfully moved from point A to point B in order to give us binary classification of the prediction model of whether if a given treatment plan is going to be positive or negative. Now, since we are applying a principle-based action, we almost got 100% for everything that we are doing. So in conclusion, we applied computer science and data engineering techniques in order to predict the possibilities of a person getting the treatment plan being successful or not being successful. Then we interpreted the model prediction in quantum lattice space using quantum artificial intelligence. And then we provide these insights of the most contributing factors to the decision such that the medical personnel can be able to make a decision accordingly. We are hoping to build a standardized, accessible framework for everyone for all patients to be able to assess their treatment plans before they jump into any. And we are calling upon researchers to take interest in quantum lattice learning and try to experiment with it within their fields that can be able to provide more insights about what quantum lattice learning can do for them. And we believe that with this kind of technology, you can at least put a smile on everyone's face, and with the women, and can able to secure the future of the reproductive health for our women. I thank you so much for listening to me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.